Hello, fellow UFOers. I am so glad that you'll be joining me and the rest of us for another year of finishing up those pesky projects. So what I want to talk a little bit about is how to put together your list. Now, I have been working on my own personal list, and I have a lot of UFOs, an embarrassing number of UFOs, even still after 3 years. Or after 2 years of doing this and starting our third. And I realize that there are some of them that are just never going to get done. So one of the things that I'm doing for myself this year as a gift is just admitting that some of these projects don't even deserve to be finished, to get them out of the boxes, out of my life, and off of my conscience. So just for example, here is a box of different projects that I have decided don't need to be done. And for various reasons. Sometimes they just weren't anything I probably should have planned to finish to begin with. So let's see, let's put this one right side up. So this was something that I wanted to do as a little, 4th of July sort of project. And it's sponge painted on fabric. Well, it feels nasty. Even if I made it into a pillow, it's not something I want to lean against or have any place. It's not all that exciting looking. And so I think it is just going to stay exactly what it is, and it's going to join my wall of class projects never to be finished. So I have this wall of projects that were mostly things that came out of classes. They were class samples, not really samples, but if I took a class and I got that far within the class and decided, that really didn't need to become anything else. I learned what I needed to learn from it. Perhaps I learned I never ever want to do that technique again. Sometimes I just decided I would use those techniques, but I would move on to something that I truly felt like finishing, not just whatever it was we started in the class. So this is my wall of class projects. And they are just that, I may or may not even take any of them with me. Now, speaking of the with me, my husband and I are planning to move out of the country, which means I'm going to be really limited as to what I get to take with me. So that's also a really great opportunity for me to look at these projects and say, would I take this with me? What would I do with it? Do I even care enough to finish it? And that answer is no in a number of cases. So here is another project that's probably never even going to make it onto my class wall project. Because this was, again, something that I started in a class. It was Snippets. And so there's all these itty bitty shredded up pieces of fabric. There's nothing I can do with that. But it's holding, if you can see from the back, a whole lot of my dressmaker straight pins. So I don't want to leave those in the fabric. I actually want those pins back. These are excellent silk pins. So I want to claim my pins back, but I don't care enough to sew this thing together. I had the idea that I would use it and make this sort of, can you see the picture there? The cactus. It was sort of a Arizona scene, and I thought, oh, I would do this as the background and then do an applique on the foreground of these cactus. Don't care. It was an interesting idea, but I didn't care for the technique, and I don't ever care to finish this project. So this one, I'm just going to take my pins out, throw it away. It's okay. I learned what I needed from the project. I don't need to take it any further. Here is one of those should projects. I should finish this. I bought this. I should finish it. Stop shooting on yourself. There's just no reason for that. So this was, it's cute. Someone else might finish it someday. I made this acorn. I got this acorn wool felt thing, and I got so far with it. I might have put it out with my fall decorations once, but it's not something that I really care to finish. I have moved it from box to box to box for a number of years. I've probably had this thing 10 years. I can admit now I'm never going to finish it, and I don't care, and I wouldn't take it with me if I did. So the whole thing, the wool roving, the pattern, the little foam thing that you stab it with, the needle, all of that into the yard sale. Maybe somebody else will want it. If not, it'll just get trashed, and it's all right. I can forgive myself for trying something that I decided I really didn't care much for after all. Something else that's not going on my list this year, but I'm not ready to call it quits. This is a top. It's already, the borders are all done, and it's a panel, but I have so many Halloween projects that I display that I like more. Even a few that I haven't finished yet that I like more than I like this one. But I think this is a good opportunity to work on my free motion quilting. So my thought with this one is that I'll use it as a warm-up. And so I will just keep it on the sewing table, and every time I get ready to sit down and do some free motion quilting, I'll spend 15 minutes, half an hour doing warm-up on this, so that maybe the project that means more to me will have better free motion quilting because I'll spend a little time warming up. So this one's not on the list, although if in a pinch I find out that it's close to being finished and whatever was on the list that month isn't, I may use it as my swap. So it's getting to stick around another year, but it's not going on my official list. So hopefully you're working on your list. I've got my rough list here. I've sort of just filled out the first four were easy, things I definitely know that I want to finish. Some were on the list last year. And then this is my sort of top contenders for the remaining spaces. So I'm kind of still mentally working over this sort of additional list to decide what's going to be my final 9. And then I've been working on my why. I looked at last year's why, and they're pretty much the same. So some of my whys is that I want to feel good rather than guilty about starting a new project. Well, that one might still take a while considering how many projects, but I also am starting to pare down some of the ones that I know I'm not going to finish and just moving those out of the boxes. So that's helping me a little bit with the overwhelm. One thing that I don't suggest is that you pull out every single project that you haven't finished in your life if you have more than, say, 12, because that can just be overwhelming. You kind of know already some of your favorites, the ones that you really, really, really want to finish. And if you get stuck for a few more, go through another bin or two. But I probably, let's put it this way, the first time I found out about the idea of a UFO club, I started listing my UFOs. I got to 30 and then decided that I just felt too overwhelmed, and I just quit at that point. And I didn't even join a UFO club that year because the whole idea of having so many just made me feel overwhelmed and exhausted before I even started. We don't want that. This is not a Marie Kondo moment where you're going to pull everything out and see what sparks joy. Just focus on those things that you have the greatest desire to work on, and go ahead and get rid of a few of those shoulds. Those ones you don't really want to work on. You've been putting aside year after year because, well, you should finish it, but it doesn't excite you anymore. You don't have any great desire to display it. It may not even go with your decor anymore, nor maybe it was a baby quilt you started and that baby is now starting into junior high. Just let it go. A lot of guilds will take in these sort of abandoned projects and finish them up and get them to some charity, some philanthropy group that can really use it. So feel good about just donating it and let somebody else enjoy finishing it up and getting it onto someone who will enjoy having it. So those are my suggestions for how to approach your list for this year. And I look forward to seeing your projects. I will give you a hint. This one on the wall behind me, that 3 koi fish, that one is definitely going on my list this year. Oh, and another thought. So my big #1 project, well, it's the same project that was on #1 on my list last year. It's my Wheel of Mystery. Well, I don't want to come to that month again this year and still be overwhelmed with how big that project is. I did manage to finish all the blocks last year, but it's still going to take quite a lot to put all those blocks together and then get it layered and quilted and so on. So this year I have a plan, and I've taken a lot of the blocks down off the design wall, gotten them all pinned together in order, and my plan is to at least put together 1 row a month, so that by the time we get to that project, and knock wood, it's not the 2nd month in, I will have gotten some progress made on it so that it's perhaps more doable when its number gets pulled. So that's something else to keep in mind, is see how you can maybe chunk out that big project so that you can get a little bit of it done leading up to when it gets pulled. So thanks for joining me, and I wish you luck in getting all 9 of your UFO projects done this year. Bye-bye now.